Curriculum Conversations number 3, we're going to be doing primary mathematics. This is primary mathematics level 2, grade 2, and then we're also going to cover grade 5. This is level 5. So this can reference anywhere between a 4th, 5th, or 6th grader. So with homeschooling, it is a bit fluid, but this will be what's covered in public school 5th grade. I also will be sharing the teacher guides and what that looks like, and then our experience with primary mathematics. So we've been using primary mathematics now for a solid year. So we started off with the level 1, and then we've moved halfway through level 2A, and then for this we've done the full 5A as well. So we have some experience. This is a Singapore method. Singapore method is basically creating a foundation and a strong understanding of the concepts versus memorization. So what I love about the primary mathematics curriculum is that it starts with a real life situation. So for example, we have our addition lesson, and it's giving a real life situation that's going to start off our unit. This one says the grocer has 130 apples, 50 orange, and 79 pears at her fruit stand. I want to sell everything before I go home. How many pieces of fruit does the grocer have to sell in all? How do you help her find out? Every single unit starts with something like that, whether it's in the 5B, 5A, or 2, whichever level it is. And then you'll go to the next page and you'll do what's going to be a recall. Every unit starts with a real life scenario and a recall, and then it moves over into the lesson and it will say learn. So that's going to be where you and your student or child will learn together. So this unit is about it's doing addition, and it's taking some of the things you've already learned, like money, and adding that into it as well. So you'll do a learning, then you'll do a learn together. So you'll do some problems together, and then you'll notice a practice on your own. And then that student will practice on their own. After they've learned that concept, the next one will be a learn again, which will be a new concept, but within the same unit. So you are still learning addition, and it will be something new about that addition. So this one looks like make a 10 to add. So some different methods that you can do. So what I love is that it really creates a foundation. It offers many different ways to learn one thing. If you feel like you've mastered one method and the student feels extremely comfortable with that method, you are welcome to move along at the pace that feels comfortable for you and your child. I love primary mathematics because if it is a concept that feels more difficult, like for example, we did fractions this year, we learned fractions in multiple steps with multiple real life problems and scenarios. So just to give an example, in the level 5, we have learn together. So here we're doing practice on your own. We also have activities. So the activities will go in depth a little bit deeper, creating some charts with the information that you're learning. And then just to find some real life problems. So here, even as we're going through the unit, even though this is not the beginning of the unit, we still have some real life problems taking place. For my learners, it's really helpful when they see that these concepts are applied in real life, because that tells them that it is something worth knowing. So here's some more within the unit, real life problems and scenarios, and that just helps them understand that yes, this math is something you will use. Oftentimes it's, do I need to know this? And how much of this do I really need to know? So throughout the 5B, you're seeing real life concepts with every new learning, every new teaching. I haven't quite found the beginning of, oh, here we go. So this is the 4 operations in decimals. So it's giving a scenario, it has a question at the bottom, and then for the rest of the unit, it's going to be covering the 4 operations while using decimals. And every time we learn a new concept, we also have a real life scenario. So I would say that this one is an extremely easy program curriculum to follow. There are not a lot of situations where I felt like I couldn't help him based off of just the workbook. But what is so lovely is that if my student or my child is working on their own and I do want just quick answers to the questions that they're answering, I'll go into this manual, which is pretty straightforward. It gives some extra detail on the side. And just to be totally transparent with you, I didn't spend a whole lot of time reading a lot of that extra stuff. I would sit down and work through the workbook with my child, and then I would use the teacher manual for the answers. Now, if it was something that I did not understand, then yes, I would reference the side that was giving a little bit more explanation. I will say, as we're getting higher into math not being my favorite subject in school, it is really nice to have a curriculum that feels extremely straightforward. And so even in 5th grade math, I was able to look at concepts in here and from there just dive straight into helping my student. And then we would have solving bigger problems. So these would be kind of dig deeper, dive deeper. And this was in addition to what we were learning. If it felt like it was a concept that my child really was excited about, we would spend some time with that. But other than that, sometimes we would also skip those problems as well. So then we have properties and classifications of 2D shapes. So we're starting off Unit 10 with a real life problem as well. And then as we go into this lesson, we're going to recall some of the things that we've already learned in the past. And this gives me an idea of what my student knows or my child knows about this next unit and what are some gaps that maybe they are experiencing. And then we'll go into measuring, and this is going to be a recall as well. And then as I start that unit, this is going to be 10A. I have another real life situation, and this is a learn together. So this is me sitting down and we're just doing this one page together. And then if my student knows that one page pretty well, I will even have them do the learn together on their own, see what they can do, answer any questions, and then the practice, I will leave them to doing the practice on their own, totally to themselves, and then I'll give that, they'll tell me the answers and I'll give them the correct ones or tell them if this is right. Then you have an activity. This is great for a hands-on learner. There's manipulatives. This is also great for a visual learner or for somebody who just wants to see that these things are happening in real life, day-to-day situations. So primary mathematics, it can feel like it's a little repetitive for somebody who catches concepts really quickly and wants to move through it really fast. But what I do love about primary mathematics is if you do have a student that moves really quickly, you also are welcome to move as quickly as you'd like as well. So instead of doing the learn together, practice on your own activity, you can kind of divvy out how much of each you want them to do. So sometimes if my child knows the concept really well, I will skip every other, and it really just still lays that foundation and creates that concept in a more deep, meaningful way. Instead of just memorize what it is, it's apply it to real life and give real life examples. So I really love primary mathematics. We will continue to do primary mathematics for this school year. We've done other things like math with confidence, big math, spectrum. We've done a lot of different math programs, but this one is our favorite. So if you've done primary mathematics, let me know what you think. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and tune in for next week's curriculum conversations.